It's Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Crafting, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, coming to you from Wisconsin on Thursday, April 24th. Let me just make sure I turn the volume down on my other device so we don't have an echo. And we are going to work tonight on some more last chance list products. But first, my little 30-second commercial. We still have another day for free shipping. So any orders of $75 or more on product, so that would be before your tax, will get free shipping. This is the third day. Tomorrow will be the third day. Stampin' Up! Has done it before where I've seen where they give us a couple of days notice that we're going to have shipping free for one day, but this was free for 3 days. So that's pretty awesome. Take advantage of that. This would be a great time to stock up on your cardstock because the price of cardstock is going from $11.50 a pack up to $14 a pack. Um, I just got a shipment. I think I had like 14 packs of paper because I figure that's $2.50 a pack. So for every 2 packs, that's $5. So that's a lot. So I saved like $35 by stocking up on some cardstock. So stock up on what you need. I did see that the thick basic white is not currently available, but I think all the other colors, well, I didn't check them all, but hopefully the other colors are in stock. So free shipping, don't miss out on that. New this month, April 15th, Stampin' Up! Released their new Stampin' Rewards program. So this is going to be, I think, a really good thing for customers. That just order independently that maybe don't have a workshop or a club or a party that they do. The way this is going to work is that if you make a minimum $20 purchase, so again that would be before tax or shipping if it's past tomorrow, you will earn 10% in your Stampin' Rewards. So when you go to the store online, it'll actually show you for each product how much in Stampin' Rewards you will get. You won't get it off on that purchase. It works kind of like Kohl's Cash and some other rewards. You will get it toward a future purchase. So you can either earn them and burn them with your next purchase, or you can earn them and save them. They will last for 12 months from when you earn them. So if I earn points this month, I have until like next March to use them. Okay. If you're not currently a customer with me, if you don't have a demonstrator that you work with, I would love to be able to support you in your crafting needs. But if you do, either if you're either with me as a customer or if you become a customer of mine, if you create a customer account by April 30th, or if you make sure that you log in and um, go to your existing account, make sure that you opt in for the rewards program. There's some legal issue that Stampin' Up! Has to follow that you have to actually say that you want the rewards. I don't know why. It seems like a no-brainer to me, but apparently there's some rule. So make sure you create or update your existing account, opt in um, by April 30th. Anybody who does that, make sure you let me know, and I will put you in an entry for a chance to receive a free kit from me. And then I guess we don't need that. I'm not sure how that page got in there, but somebody had asked me what I had on the bottom of my stamp pads. They noticed, very astute watcher, noticed that I had some things on the bottom of my stamp pads. What I do is Stampin' Up! Provides demonstrators with a lot of resources, whether it's images that we can post on our social media pages, if it's files like this. These are really nice. These are called Color Coach. And what Stampin' Up! Does for us is it'll take a color, cherry cobbler for instance, and it will give you 3 options of different colors that it will coordinate with. So what I do when we get new color coaches is I print this on sticky paper, like Avery paper. This is some other brand, but it's made in the US, so I deal with trying to get the backing off. But trust me, there's stick 'em on here. There we go. All right. So I print mine onto these full-size label sheets. So it's not like mailing labels, it's just one solid piece of paper with adhesive on it. When I set up my file, I reduce the I don't know what you call it. I don't print it at 100%. I print it at 95%. So it makes it just a little bit smaller. The 100% I found was a little too big for my stamp pads. And I think these I made a little bit smaller, but this one I did at 95% and it will fit really well. So what I do then is just I trim these out. There's 9 pages of them, 9.5 pages, but it has every color in the Stampin' Up! Collection. And we even have, I printed this because the new colors are here. Timid Tiger, that's a new in color. Darling Duckling is a new in color. So they're all here. I trim them down and then I stick them onto the back of my ink pads. When I'm having some creative blockage, I guess, and I'm, trying to think of what colors I want to work together, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take an ink pad, I'll flip it over and see what color combinations Stampin' Up! Would suggest. And then I'll just work with this. So if I'm not coming up with something on my own, this is a really good resource. Now, I can't sell these because this is something Stampin' Up! Provides to me, the file for free, and I print it on my paper. But if you take advantage of this free shipping offer, which means you're placing a $75 or more product order through me at laurimccar.stampinup.net, by tomorrow, I will provide you with this color coach. Okay. So I think that took more than 30 seconds. My apologies for that. So let's get down to business with our project. I'm going to kind of wing it again. If you've watched me before, you know I kind of wing it a lot. But we're going to use the basic card design. This is from the annual catalog. So this is still the current catalog. And I like to take mine to our office supply store and have them cut off the binding and then hole punch it and put it on a spiral for me, because then I can turn it inside out like this. But we are going to do this very first sketch today, I think. Hopefully I have all of the supplies that I need. So I've done this one recently, this one, and this one I did last night with the shopping cart card. So here's the shopping cart card. So here we had 4 circles or 4 focal points. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we had a layer on the base, and that was my embossed piece. So that's how I interpreted or was inspired by this sketch or template. So today I'm going to use this one. Again, it's going to be kind of loosely done because one of my layers is going to be a die cut image with these flowers. So let's go ahead and kind of get down to business here, because I have a lot of moving parts and I'm just hoping I can get it all done. So I am going to put some ink on this big floral image. And we're going to go ahead and stamp it. I don't think I got it all, actually. Missed a little bit in here. There we go. That'll work. And we're just going to put this down on here. Now I could have taken my paper and put it on top of the block as well, and maybe gotten like my silicone brayer. Oh, and look at that, I didn't get it. Wonder if I can line this up again. Probably not. Press a little harder over there. Look at that. Not bad. So let's get this out of the way. I have a lot of stuff going on here. All right. And then we're also going to do our sentiment. And I am going to do heat embossing on this. So I've got some Versamark, I've got the sentiment. We're going to put it on the pink, our pretty in pink. And I don't have to worry about it being super straight because we're going to cut it out with a die. And I'm using the white Wow embossing powder. So this is opaque bright white. But I put mine in a tub and try not to make too much of a mess. So when we do embossing, if you've never seen it before, we basically use the clear Versamark ink. It's a very slow drying ink. And put that on our paper, whatever paper we're going to use, either paper, designer series paper, or cardstock. And then we heat it up. Now, I have a tray that I can use this with. And the kit actually came with these reverse tweezers, and it came with this brush. I like to use this artist brush because it's got a really nice chiseled point on it. But I didn't really need to use that today because I used that other little plastic container. So I'm just going to hold on to that. And with our embossing, our heat gun, there are two settings. So there's one, which I use for ink, and two is for the powder. So the powder is actually very small pieces of plastic. So you need the heat gun to melt it. And then you should be able to see when it gets hot enough, that plastic melt onto the paper. Hopefully you can see that now. And I like to do my heat gun from the back of my paper because then I can see it really well. And that's it. If there is any dull section on your image, then you know you need to heat it a little bit longer. So we are done with embossing gun, or the heat gun rather, and we're going to go ahead and use one of the dies out of this Enduring Beauty die set. So this comes with 10 dies. This is marked down. Let's see, the dies are less than half price actually. Normally they're $26. I think they're marked down to $10.40. The stamp set is normally $20. It's marked down to $14. And then these masks are normally $12.50. They're marked down to $7.50. So everything's on that last chance list. And then I'm using some Moody Mauve. This is one of our outgoing in colors. They stay around for 2 years, and this 2-year run is done. So this is on the last chance list as well. I don't know that it's marked down though. All right. So let's go ahead and use our mini cut and emboss machine, my little Betsy. And we'll cut this out quick. And then I took some other dies from this set and cut out some flowers and leaves that we'll see if I'm going to use with this project. So the nice thing about this is that with this die set, we got 2 of each of the leaves, 2 dies, and 2 of the flowers. So you could do, instead of getting just 1 die and having to do it through so many times, depending on how many pieces you wanted to make, you can do it with half as much effort. So I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit because it's more than 3 inches. And you can see this is a scrap that I cut those flowers out of. So I'm going to use my base. I'm going to use a plate. I'm going to put this on here. Now when I'm going to just rip this off. When I have a squared image like this, I try to angle it on my plate so that a corner is leading, because that makes it easier for it to feed through the machine. Okay, so I think that was going to be pretty good. Hopefully that'll work. And then too, I've mentioned before, I try to keep the same cutting plate on the bottom and do all my cuts in that one, and then keep my top plate a little cleaner. And then when this one gets too ratty looking that I don't like it anymore, then I'll put the top one on the bottom and I'll get a new one from a new 2-pack. All right, so that's all I have to cut for tonight. Oh, it's not either, because I'm going to have to cut this out. All right, so we have our sentiment. We've got some little leaves. We'll see if we use those. And then we're going to work on this. All right. So let's get these put away so I don't lose anything. Actually, I'm going to need this, so I'll leave this out. I'll move the rest of this out of the way. And I'm going to get these masks out. All right. I've also mentioned other times that when I have packages of embellishments, my embossing folders, things like these masks, I usually open up the adhesive seal on it, and then I just take a little ruler and go in along the side and slit open the side so that I can just pull things out easily without having to worry about that. Stick them on there. All right. So I am going to just tape this down somewhere with some washi tape. I could use any kind of tape really because I'm using my glass mat, and we're going to cut off the edges of this so we won't have to worry about ruining our design. But I discovered that it doesn't look like I've even used these masks. So that's why this is going to be, we'll see how this goes. All right, so it should go somewhere like this. Oh, there we go, right there. So it goes at an angle. All right. So I am going to get that washi tape back, and I'm going to go ahead and tape this down just to kind of help me a little bit. And then what I'm going to do, this is just a little bit off here. There we go. I think that'll work. The other thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to take a dry erase marker, and I'm just going to go around here and mark where this notch is. Okay, so there's a notch in every mask. With this, there are 5 masks, and you may not be able to see it, but each mask is numbered. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and those are the suggested order that you take each mask to work with it. So we're going to start first with this Pretty in Pink, and get some color on here. Now, normally when I do my blending brushes, I will start off the paper, like on scrap paper or on here. I'm going to start off on my mask, and I'm going to go in because I can control the color better then, and I don't have to worry about if I'm going to get a big smudge of color. So here you can see where it kind of smudged when I put this down without taking it in from the side. Hopefully you notice that. All right. So I'm going to do a second color on here. Now you can see where I did a little lighter, maybe in the middle, and here I did darker here on the edges. But I'm also going to take some Berry Burst. We'll see how this looks. I haven't tried it. We're going to take some Berry Burst and maybe do a little bit in the centers. Well, that's really dark. That didn't work quite how I wanted it to. So I guess that one flower is going to be a lot darker. Hopefully it'll still look all right. So this isn't like my blending brushes where I can just kind of fix it, or I mean my alcohol markers. So let's go back with some more of that pretty in pink. The more layers of ink you put on, the darker it'll be. I don't think I'll be able to lighten that one up, but I can at least make sure that it's not all blotchy. All right, so there's our first layer. So the next layer I can see is going to be our leaves. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take this one off. And this will just rinse off really well. I'll take it over to the sink and I'll show you how easily they clean up. Hopefully it won't drip, but you can see just rinsing it underwater, I didn't even have to rub it. So I'll just leave that in the sink. So this one then, I'm going to line up the notch here, right here. And now it's easy for me to line up what the next phase is going to be. And you still have to, maybe line it up a little bit more. But my marker tip was pretty broad. Sometimes, if I'm doing a class, we'll have our placemats, our grid paper, and then you can just use a pencil around there. That works really well. So now I'm just going to use some old olive. And we'll go harder and darker in the middles. And then I'll just lightly go over the other ends here, the tips of the leaves. So if I press harder, I get a darker color, and if I press lighter, obviously I get a lighter color. Now these kind of look like flower buds to me, but they're in here for the leaves, so I'm going to make them green. Who else likes using the masks? I really do, because I think it gives it just a really pretty coloring technique. Look at that. We're not even done yet. So that's just two masks. So here now, we're going to line this up to these flowers again. And this is going to be another layer that's going to go darker. Oh, do we use the berry burst, or do I look for another color? So maybe I should get the Moody Mauve. Or we'll just stick with this. We'll see how it looks. So again, we're just putting on another layer. So that makes it naturally a little darker. We'll just see how that looks. And with my blending brushes, see, that looks really dark to me. I don't know that I like that. Don't know that I like that. Let's go ahead and wipe some of this off, and I'm going to try to do it in that lighter pink and see how that looks. Pretty in pink. That was just a lot darker than I expected it to be. I've had other masks where, the other layers are just a little more subtle. I don't think that's going to lighten up much for me. Well, we'll see what it looks like when we're all done. All right. It'll be pretty, I guess. It's kind of growing on me. All right, done with that mask. So this one looks like it's going to be another green. So, oh, and this is getting some of the stems now that we didn't get before. So I think I should probably get a darker green. Maybe our garden green. Yeah, we'll try garden green. Hopefully that won't be too dark. So this is just getting the insides where the veins are. And the stems, it looks like. So each mask obviously gives us a different area where we're coloring without having to be so exact as we would with markers or the Stampin' Blends. And maybe that's why I like it so much, but we used to do stencils back in the day when my kids were little. You know, and you do your border on a room with, you know, stencil and paint. So this is kind of like that. That's pretty. All right, we'll set that one aside. And it looks like we're on the last one. So it's going to go like this again. Not sure there. Well, there we go, I guess. Aha. I think these don't quite line up, I think. And I think I'm just going to use the lighter shade and see what it does first. I'm thinking that's not lining up to my eye, but maybe that's just, oh, there. So I think maybe my paper shifted because this flower is lining up better here. Well, we're gonna give it a go. This is where it says it should be. We'll go right like this because this flower in the center is pretty close. So that's what I get for not being decisive and questioning. So we'll just keep going with it. We're almost done. It's the last one. So I'm going to use the Pretty in Pink again and see what kind of a difference it makes. Should make it a little bit darker. We'll see. But better the Pretty in Pink. Normally, I think with the masks, each layer, if you just do it with the same color, it will get gradually darker. And I put that Berry Burst in there. So, all right, there's that. So that's all of our masks. Now we can go ahead and die cut this, and we'll get my Bossy Bessie out because this is a bigger one. It's more than 3 inches wide. And this is going to line up here. Let me get my paper towel out of the way. And we will get the big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out. And grab my plates. So the base plate, the shim, my 2 plate, actually my 3 plate, I guess on this one it's my 3 plate. And we'll line this up. And maybe, hopefully you can see that. Use a little piece of washi tape to kind of keep this in place. Sometimes I can just run it through without having to tape it down. All right, so we'll pull that first cutting plate back. All right, that's done. Let's get these out of the way. And we're going to bring our card base in. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4.25. This is for the inside. That's going to go there. And I think what I want to do, if I can find my stamp again, here we go. We're going to do just a little outline on here. I'm not going to color it in. Oh no. Yeah, there's a little bit of ink on there. I'll have to try to camouflage that with the sentiment, I think. All right. So here I wouldn't have had to have inked up the whole stamp, but I want to put part of this over here, I think. And that can go on the inside. And then maybe the other corner I can put over here. Just some leaves. There, and that's kind of stamped off because it was on here. So it's a little lighter there. And I'm good with that. I was fully aware that that would happen. Sometimes when you do that on the edge of a paper, you have to be careful because if some of the ink has come off with us, a stamping off, and some of it didn't make contact, then you'll have like a line through your stamp. So be careful when you're stamping off like that. All right. So this is going to come in here. And of course, I got little smudges on there, so I'll have to make sure that I write over that. And I'm just going to use some Stampin' Seal here because I feel like we had a lot of steps, so this is going a little longer than I like to go. I'll just make sure I write on there or put a sentiment in there. All right, so we need a layer of cardstock if we're going to go with our sample. So let's go ahead and maybe I didn't end up using the peach pie. Let's get some Pretty in Pink. We'll do a little layer of Pretty in Pink. And I think I'm going to do like 3.5 by 5. We'll see how that looks. And I'm using my trimmer that's off camera. Sorry about that. So we put this here. I think that's too big. I'm going to make that a little bit smaller, a little shorter. I took just a 1/4 inch off the length. You know what I think I might do is I have some perennial postage dies somewhere. I had them out. Here they are. I wonder if we die cut this. That would probably be very cute. Put that there. So pretend that that's die cut. This is going to be on here. We're going to put this on to cover up where I dropped the ink pad on there. And then we're going to tuck a few of these flowers maybe in here to break up that background. What do you think? So rather than keep everybody here longer, I'm going to finish this up, but you can kind of get the idea here of what it's going to look like. We'll make this a perennial postage because I like how that's going to finish it off, I think. And then we'll tuck some of these leaves and flowers under here. And there, like this. That on there. So that's going to be our card. So if we go back to the sketch or the template, so we've got our base here. This bottom layer is our pretty in pink that I'm going to do with the perennial postage. Our next layer is actually our floral that we use the masks on. And then we've got our sentiment. The only other thing I'll have to do is maybe put a little bow on there, and maybe some embellishments. So that'll be my interpretation of this sketch. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you try this idea or if you've tried some of these other sketches. Um, these really help for inspiring when you're at a loss for what to do. So, thanks for hanging in there with me. I think that's all I have for tonight. So until next time, happy stamping.